buying and selling using Pi. When Pi Network decided to outline the process for Pi transactions, I knew we as a community were about to embark into another state of Pi's development. KYC stands for Know Your Customer. It is a verification process to validate that you are the person who owns the Pi account you are verifying. Upon opening the Pi Network app, a terms of use was there to greet me, stating that Pi cannot be used to only purchase fiat currency or other cryptocurrencies. It must be used for goods and services. As in-app transfer pilot users, we were chosen to help ensure that Pi Network's transfer system within its app for Pi worked properly. Pi Network uses Yoti, Y-O-T-I, as their third-party provider for this process. Yoti is an app that can be downloaded off your mobile device. It requires one's first name and last name, phone number, email address, nationality, a profile picture in that moment, voice recognition, which requires the user to repeat several words a few times, gender, and facial recognition. It also required one of three methods for verification: a passport, a government ID, or your driver's license. As I went through this process, it was exciting, as well as shocking, that Pi Network had already come this far within its development. My driver's license had taken me a while to get accepted after several attempts. However, even after providing all the information I gave, I could not get through. My nationality was not provided in my driver's license, and it could not be simply typed in their text box. It needed to be provided from one of the three methods of verification. After all I had done, I still was unable to pass KYC. I noticed within the app a transfer feature was now located within the drop-down menu. It was the second feature listed, which wasn't available before. I also noticed within the chat system inside the Pi Network app, a new chat group was there called Transfer Pilot. Messages were already being sent regarding this new feature. A few pioneers had already began sending small amounts of Pi to one another, testing a variety of cases where they felt a Pi transfer may fail. The information that was being shared in the chat so that other pioneers could test other aspects was vital. Collectively, the information would quickly help us realize what needed to be fixed or improved. I had seen the developers of Pi Network within the Transfer Pilot in dialogue with the new users within the IAT who were conveying their questions, concerns, and suggestions to the core team. I asked the developers if it was possible to remove the requirement for nationality, as the only form of identification that could provide that is the passport. Being from the USA, I know many people, even in America, don't have US passports, as they only travel within the country and can do so with their driver's license. Having that requirement would severely limit many to be able to pass KYC. Interestingly enough, within only a few minutes, I was approved without verifying my nationality, and I was able to pass KYC. This issue had affected many other IAT members also trying to pass as well, and they were able to get through once that requirement was removed. The transfer icon opens up the ability for you to see your available transfer balance for Pi. This value may be different for anyone who has passed KYC that has an earning team, as the only Pi available to transfer is what that Pi user has mined alone. This disregards what was accumulated through other pioneers actively mining when you were, and your security circle, which also helped you to achieve more Pi. Almost all Pi users had values of around 1,000 Pi to 2,000 Pi only. As other pioneers within your earning team and security circle also pass KYC, the amount you have available to transfer will also increase. So how much pi is it that you earn every day? If it's only you mining that it's considering, it's about 5 pi. This is why we should value pi greatly. 1 pi is transferred. Once it's transferred, if the pi username is wrong, it is lost forever. It cannot be undone. You will be asked to verify one more time prior to submitting the transaction if everything is correct, right before you hit transfer. A message will also be available for you to state what goods or services are being accepted for your pi. Keep this in mind when your time to transact with pi comes. The first in-app transfer was announced regarding the web domain for pi.app to pi username 89199. The Pi core team had purchased this web domain from this Pi user for 10,000 Pi. Soon after, Pi username RG918 and Pi username Cozy held the first Pi network transaction with Pi between two pioneers for 3 commemorative Pi coins. The next transaction with Pi was placed by Pi username Alloyola Alloy and Pi username Bwood for a Pi amulet. A few hours later, I placed my first transaction with Pi username Alloyola Alloy as well. My first transaction with Pi was the 4th in Pi's transaction history in the world. I want to go deeper into this experience as I can feel many want to know how the process works when using Pi as payment, or if one were to accept Pi as payment. My first point of contact was to find a Pi user willing to sell something for Pi. I stated within the Pioneer English chat I was willing to consider what others were willing to offer for Pi. That's when Pi username Alloyola Alloy reached out to me. The chat app was very busy around this time, so we got in contact through Discord, which is another app used for chatting. Once we had a direct message between one another, Pi username Alloyola Alloy showed me the Pi amulet and what was offered for sale for Pi. I've never purchased an amulet in my life before, but hey, there's a first time for everything, right? Well, this was going to be it. I asked how much the particular Pi amulet costs, as there are many variations of it. Depending on the materials and the way it is built, it can be very expensive. This particular one was valued at around $30. The next step was to come to an agreement on the Pi conversion rate we both felt was fair at the time. Since Pi transactions were real early during this phase, and the past list of transactions that had taken place was not known at the time, we agreed that Pi should be around $2 per Pi for the conversion rate, as that seemed fair to the both of us. Pi username Alloyola Alloy still needed to ship the Pi amulet. That would require a shipping fee as well as my name and address. This was provided, and now I had to trust this Pi user I had never met before was going to take my Pi and ship the Pi amulet, trusting that this person somewhere in the world would honor this transaction. This was important, as Pi is built on trust. In order to build trust, I realized I must first offer it to gain it. Therefore, I sent the Pi. Pi username Alloyola Alloy confirmed that he or she received the Pi. To cover the cost of the Pi amulet and how much it would cost to be shipped, it was around $10. Then I stated once the Pi amulet was shipped to provide the tracking number. Now in several cases, after this transaction, other Pi users provided the Pi shipping fee in Pi after the receipt was given to calculate the amount. The very next day, Pi username Alloyola Alloy showed me a picture of the package to verify the address, then sent me the tracking number as well. It had taken a few weeks, but little did I know this Pi amulet had traveled across the world from Singapore from a person I've never met personally. I picked up the package from the post office. As I opened it, it was in that moment when I realized Pi is about to become everything it was destined and designed to be. This was only its beginning. Since then, I have sold limited edition Jordan 1 sneakers for Pi that cost me several $100s to Pi username sboy06 and shipped it to the USA. I've sold a tumbler for Pi to Pi username bwood and shipped it to Japan. I also worked with Pi username BJ Cohen to help pay some rent for Pi. I also bought honey from Pi username USBman. I received a package of $100 worth of honey from Tennessee. All these transactions were happening with other people from all around the world. The transaction for rent, though, was discussed with Vince prior to the transaction taking place, and the consensus was that it needed to be recorded and displayed for many to see that Pi is building real use cases for many others around the world. You see, Pi's utility is the key to Pi's success. Not necessarily its value. Its value will build as Pi's use cases grow. In the other 4 cases, I used the same method to establish communication directly with the other Pi users involved. There is something I'd like to add though. Each Pi user I did involve myself with in regard to a Pi transaction was someone I already trusted aside from the first transaction. With growth comes change, and with change comes growth. But you can't have one without having the other. Pi Network functions in the same manner. As it continues to grow, more changes within the platform will develop to ensure that it's trusted, secured, stable, scalable, and inclusive. These are all the elements Pi requires for it to change the world as it becomes more widely accepted by all those who possess it. A few more transactions with Pi have occurred since the last update I had provided. However, the current Pi conversion rate for a list of transactions that have happened with Pi at this time has Pi valued at $6.68 per Pi. Soon, common people will use their Pi to pay for services perhaps they can't afford with the fiat currency they have now. This would open up more possibilities for many people out there trying to learn new things, such as a new language, a new skill, a new musical instrument, or allow that person to be tutored by a professional they couldn't afford before with their fiat monthly income. People will be able to use Pi to tip busboys, waitresses, bellboys, valet, chefs, your hairstylist, you name it, Pi can do it. Where that value can be offered through Pi to many other people willing to accept it. In every instance I've described, Pi only adds value to each person willing to use it and accept it, if and only if each person values Pi. They would, though, if there was an entire economy for Pi, where millions of goods and services could be purchased with Pi by millions of people accepting Pi as another form of payment. The good news is it's coming. How do I know? Because I am helping to build it. If you'd like to know and learn more about Pi, stay connected as I go deeper into what Pi is doing, and how it can help you as well as many others. Until next time, stay mining and stay smiling. I am the Crypto Legend.